there was supposed to be a purse bid tomorrow for the Sergey Kovalev-Anthony Yarde fight, but at the request of Kovalev's team, it's now been pushed back to April 15th. Now, is this a promising sign that they've actually made some progress with negotiations between the two camps? Or is it actually more to do with Kovalev's upcoming court hearing on April 19th? Because the outcome of the court hearing will determine whether formal charges will be brought against Sergey Kovalev for assault. There was a young lady a year or so ago who has accused Sergey Kovalev of, inflicting some pretty serious injuries on her. So we'll find out on April 19th whether Kovalev is going to be charged. And if he is charged, then he could be looking at, I think it said 2 to 4 years in prison. So, yeah, maybe that's something to do with why I've decided to push the purse bid back. Because remember, this is Kovalev's team who have decided to push the purse bid back. They initially were the ones who called for the purse bid to happen sooner rather than later on April 8th. But now they've had a change of heart and have decided to push it back a little bit. So is it something to do with the court case, or is it something to do with Team Yarde giving off some positive signals to Team Kovalev that they do actually want to have this fight and get a deal done? I guess we'll find out in due course. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. How shocked would you be if Anthony Yarde actually took this fight? And I know some of you are going to say, yeah, he'll take it, but then he'll pull out with some injury. How shocked would you be if the fight happens? First bell goes, the two guys get in the ring and they fight. Would you be shocked? I would be pretty damn surprised. I'm not going to lie, but I'll give credit where credit's due to Anthony Yarde, definitely. It remains to be seen whether it's a wise move on behalf of his management and promotion. Frank Warren being his promoter and Tunde Ajayi being his manager. Tunde has said that Frank, even prior to the first Alida Alvarez fight, Frank was telling Tunde that Crusher, Sergey Kovalev, is ready for the taking right now. Maybe they still think he's ready for the taking. I've seen some people say that Sergey Kovalev has seriously deteriorated. Well, to be honest, Sergey Kovalev's always had vulnerabilities. It's just he had this mystique. He had this intimidation factor. And he wasn't fighting an Andre Ward prior to fighting Andre Ward. He wasn't fighting a guy of that level. So he was able to get away with certain things. But once Andre Ward showed the blueprint of how to beat Kovalev, other people have tried to emulate it. So I don't necessarily think Kovalev has showed massive deterioration. I just think that the blueprint is now out there on how to beat him. And the reason I say I don't think he's shown massive deterioration is because that rematch against Alvarez, that's the best I've seen Kovalev box. Not only from a technical and tactical point of view, but even from a fitness point of view. When have you ever seen Sergey Kovalev throw that many punches for 12 rounds and not get tired? That guy had loads left in the tank in the 12th round and he was throwing a lot of shots. Yeah, he went a distance with Ward in the first fight. He went a distance with Hopkins. Against Hopkins, he didn't really throw many punches other than in maybe the last couple rounds. But that fight was a fairly low volume fight. The Kovalev-Hopkins fight. And the Andre Ward first fight, Kovalev noticeably gassed in the second half. Even before Andre Ward started landing the body shots. I mean, even against Isaac Chilemba, he noticeably gassed in the second half. And Chilemba, I don't think, was landing any body shots from what I can remember. So you look at that last performance of Kovalev against Alida Alvarez, reclaiming the WBO title. And by the way, I have to correct myself because I said that Kovalev is a 2-time world champion. He's actually a 3-time world champion, right? Because he won the title that he held after beating Nathan Cleverly. Then he lost to Andre Ward. Later on, regained it, then lost to Alida Alvarez. Finally regained it again against Alvarez. So he's a 3-time world champion. And like I say, that performance against Alvarez, I've never seen him throw that many punches. He's got, I believe, a new strength and conditioning man now. And he's doing things a little bit differently. So I think he's still very, very dangerous. And I think he's at the top of his game. It's just that people know his vulnerabilities now. People know his weaknesses. People know how to attack him to, get the most effect. People know that. So once people know your weakness, once people know where you're vulnerable, other people can start replicating it. And if not beat you, at least have some success and make you look more vulnerable in fights. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the slide. It just means people have figured out your weaknesses, which were there all along. If Andre Ward had fought Kovalev a year or two ago, that same version of Ward who had fought Kovalev a year or two ago, it would have been the same situation, in my opinion. If Alida Alvarez had fought Kovalev a year or two ago, in my opinion, it would have been the same situation. If Alida Alvarez obviously had knowledge of how to beat Kovalev, seeing what Andre Ward did to him, etc. It had to do with knowing Kovalev's vulnerabilities, and his vulnerabilities are not just to the body and, all that kind of stuff, stamina. His vulnerability is also his mentality, because Kovalev always had a puncher's mentality where he would go in there and he's not looking for points. Even though he did goal points a couple times, his mentality is I'm going to try and hit you as hard as possible every time I get into punching range. Whereas against Alvarez in the rematch, he was more circumspect. He went back to his amateur style. That's what he said, under the tutelage of Buddy McGirt, who was a fighter that liked to stick and move himself. And Buddy trained many fighters like Paulie Malignaggi, etc., to do the same thing, to stick and move. And Kovalev certainly wasn't running around the ring or anything, but he was boxing very nicely from long range, controlling the action, controlling the distance. And I thought it was a great performance in the Alvarez rematch. So, yeah, this is going to be a very tall order for Anthony Yarde, in my opinion, if he does decide to take this fight. But I've always said that I am very impressed by Anthony Yarde's athletic ability. His, the way he's been able to pick up boxing technique in a relatively short space of time. I think he's very, very naturally gifted, but there are a lot of questions. Can he take a punch? Does he have stamina? Does he have heart? We don't know. And these things do matter in boxing. I heard his manager / trainer Tunde Ajayi talking about the idea is not to get hit. And I think even Anthony himself in one of his recent interviews said the idea is not to get hit. So it's not about whether I've got a good chin or anything like this. It's about not getting hit. Well, you're going to get hit. I don't care who you are. Floyd Mayweather got hit. Well, you didn't see the Maidana fights. He got hit. You didn't see the fight against Chop Chop Corley early on in his career. He got hit. You didn't see the Shane Mosley fight. He got hit. Everybody gets hit. There's no escaping that. So you're going to get hit. And Anthony Yarde, even though he does try and emulate a Floyd Mayweather style defense, very few people can pull off that Philly shell, that James Toney style, the old school defensive style. Very, very few people can pull it off successfully. Some people can, but, well, I guess there's degrees of success. And Anthony Yarde isn't a master of that particular style the way that Mayweather was or the way that James Toney was. He's just nowhere even close to being as effective as they were with that particular defensive style. He gets clipped even against these journeymen he's fighting. Now, you could say that against the Kovalev, he would be a lot more defensively minded, so he wouldn't be making as many mistakes. He wouldn't be as reckless. But again, that remains to be seen. And as Mike Tyson once famously said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And we'll see what happens with Anthony Yarde when he gets punched in the mouth by somebody that can actually punch. Because that's another thing that people have noticed about Anthony Yarde's career is that you have to imagine that his team have deliberately kept him away from punches because he never fought a puncher. You look at the records of all the guys he's fought, there's no punches there. That has to be deliberate. It can't just be a coincidence. So, maybe they know something that we don't. And, it could be in regards to a potential vulnerability there for Anthony Yarde. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this purse bid being pushed back. What are your thoughts on it? What are your feelings on it? Why has it been done? And you see here, just to confirm, it was Kafi Duva, Kovalev's promoter, who decided to push back the purse bid to the 15th. So why has that been done? Is it because it gives the two sides more time to negotiate. And if that's the case, then Team Kovalev must have seen something. They must have had some encouraging sign from Team Yarde. Maybe Team Yarde are just trying to milk the whole process for as much publicity as possible. Maybe that's why they're dragging out the purse bid. Is that what it is? And just lastly, before I end this, the minimum bid now on the 15th will be $300,000. A lot of people have said how shocked they are or surprised they are by how low that minimum bid is, $300,000. It is indeed very low for a fight, world title fight involving a champion like Kovalev, who's been at the top for many, many years and fought cream of the crop opponents. To be the minimum bid to be $300,000 is pretty surprising, because you would have to imagine that both guys would be getting a hell of a lot more than $300,000. How much does Kovalev make per fight? He surely is making a lot more than that, isn't he? Maybe I'm totally wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about all the points I've raised in this video. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.